Welcome back, everybody, to the NAIOP Solutions Series. My name is Sheila Vertino, and I'll be the host today. Our main goal for the Solutions Series program, for those of you who are new, is to provide you in a very short time frame with some fresh insights, some practical tactics, some positive strategies to help you succeed in today's tough business environment. As always, we ask you to help us drive the content. What is it that you would like us to find speakers to present on? Just send us an email, or you can put in your ideas at the in the follow-up survey that you'll receive at the end of the program. I'd like to take a moment before we begin to thank the Harvard Business School Real Estate Executive Education Programs. They're our sponsor for today's program. These programs are designed to help seasoned and emerging leaders protect their assets and manage complex projects. In addition, participants will gain the skills they need to navigate global markets and capitalize on new opportunities. For more information, you can go to their website at www.exed.hbs.edu. As I mentioned, the Solution Series is great for these kind of quick bursts of information, but some topics require more in-depth discussion, and for that we have 90-minute webinars. As you can see on your screen, the next full webinar takes place on May 27th. That's a Thursday. We have Christopher Lee. If you haven't heard Christopher Lee before, I can absolutely guarantee that you will come away with some brand new ideas and a very positive outlook toward things that you can do. Christopher Lee is going to be talking about these 12 strategies to prosper in the months and years ahead. The cost for NAIOP members for the webinars, they're 90 minutes long, is $65, and for non-members is $95. If you'd like to register, you just go to naiop.org/webinars. And now I'm happy to get on with our Solution Series program. With us today is Stan Ross, and Stan is chairman of the board of the Lusk Center for Real Estate at the University of Southern California, and he's a distinguished fellow of USC's School of Policy, Planning, and Development. Stan is a retired vice chairman, Real Estate Industry Services for Ernst & Young, LLP, where he was a member of the firm's management committee. Also a former managing partner of E&Y Kenneth Leventhal Real Estate Group. Stan, as you may know, is widely recognized for his experience in strategic planning for real estate companies, and he has a great deal of expertise in mergers, acquisitions, and reorganizations, and the development of creative financial structures. So welcome, Stan. Thanks for being with us today.
Sheila, thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you. I appreciate the invitation to share some thoughts this morning. What we're going to do this morning is I'm going to focus on a few things: survival, solutions, cost effectiveness. Then we'll pick up some strategic issues. I'll focus on expansion, some new opportunities in the distressed markets, and we'll get into some reorganization and restructuring. And the way I've approached it is I've created what I call a four-step process to come out of the recession on the upside, and we'll cover that. The first is an asset liability check. Second, organization restructure. The third, lender relations. And the fourth are opportunity buys. Now, we only have 20 minutes this morning to cover this topic, so I don't have time to do a macroeconomic overlay to set the stage. But let's take a look at this next slide, and that has a summary of some of the key trends that are important to follow. Now, I'm not going to read these to you. You can look at them. You know most of them. Just a comment on one or two. First, slowing employment. That's good news. Trend is changing. We're starting to see a reduction in the number of jobs lost, and we can see some daylight there. Limited liquidity still continues, but we'll talk a little bit later about the capital markets, and you'll have a sense as to where that's going. As far as the economy is concerned, we all know we have a global problem in the economy, and we just came back from a meeting, the American Economic Association, and at that meeting, concern was expressed that when you took the deficit together with what we have, an aging population, a growing health care cost, you put that together, and what you'll create is a U.S. budget deficit and public debt that is going to balloon, and high risk that was felt in that group that could cause financial havoc by undermining confidence in the U.S. dollar. That's the global perspective. When I step back and try to capitalize my own view, is that if private demand is unable to replace government stimulus efforts that we've been getting, what we'll see is a double-dip economic slowdown. It'll develop, especially if the private sector continues to save, because they're storing money to restore their balance sheets that doesn't get into the market. On the other hand, if business increases spending and exports increased, and you put that together with inventory restocking and low financing costs, that could drive GDP up in 2010. That's the overall economic overview that I'll give you. In the interim, though, here's where I come out. Values will further drop, foreclosure and delinquency rates will increase, and this limping economy will continue to impact our cash flows. Cap rates we've seen starting to level off, and it'll continue. Capital, as I said, starting to come in, but at a higher lending rate, more stringent underwriting, increased equity requirements, and recourse terms being requested. So now you step back and I say, with all this doom and gloom, how do you survive during these times? Look at this next slide. This is a summary that I've created of the critical steps that I think you should be taking to survive in a down market. Now, I'm not going to read each and every one of these. You can look at them on the screen, and you can also request copies of this PowerPoint presentation. But summary of this is, the first step that I go through, it's like going to your doctor and getting an internal checkup and analysis. What you do is you develop a database. You look at your database. You compare it to a macro and microeconomic analysis. What's taking place in terms of the market. You run sensitivity analysis, various assumptions on occupancy, cost of money, capital availability, replacement cost. And then you do a realistic pro forma. What you don't want to do is fall in love with your pro forma like most builder developers do. You want it to be realistic, and you want to run a sensitivity. Now, if you take a look further at this next slide, you'll see the internal analysis continues. And what I'm doing here is you have to take an inventory of all of your assets and liabilities. But that's not the critical point. The key thing is I want you to look at it under a new economic model. What you have to deal with now is develop a whole new set of macro assumptions. First on a national basis, then on a location by location, and then on a project by project. If you're just going to apply a broad range of cap rates or use some kind of a square foot replacement cost, it won't get you where you have to be. So the way I want you to look at this is I want you to look at your assets in terms of keepers, then I have sleepers, and then weepers. And then we're going to want to rank all of our assets. So take a look at this slide. Here's your keepers. What's a keeper? Keeper is an asset that you have that has a great, good, current cash flow. It doesn't have to be great. A known, predictable cash flow is a good keeper. Good long-term horizons. It's clearly a quality asset. It's the highest quality asset you have. Not necessarily all A's, but it's high quality and it has high potential for growth. That's your keeper. Now take a look at this next one. Now I have my weepers. What are my weepers? assets clearly that aren't high quality. They could have a material deferred maintenance cost. They can be in a poor location. They can have lots of contingencies, environmental, other commitments, leases at low rates, some long-term contingency, a low cash flow stream, unpredictable. You've maxed out the financing. You probably have major tax issues with negative basis, very little, if any, long-term value, and you probably are wrapped in there some downside issues. So that's my weeper. In between the two, if you take a look at this next slide, are my sleepers. My sleepers, good locations, probably some deferred maintenance, that's okay. They may have medium-term leases, shorter term that may turn in the wrong timing in the market, but they have high potential in terms of growth in the cash flow. The location in the marketplace could be a good one. New activity taking place in the market, product line changes, new sector, transportation corridors, good activity, good local public acceptance and support. It could be alternative uses that can be considered for the particular property, a medical office conversion, or any type of alternative use. So my sleeper has some upside potential. So now when I do all my operating assets, before I go into the rest of them, I want to do my land evaluation, which is my next slide. You can see up there. I take a look at my land holdings. I'm going to look at it. What's the stage of the land? Is it raw land? Is it semi-improved? What are my entitlements in zoning? What's the future alternative development strategies? What's my cost just to put in improvements? Do I have any commitments or conditions with the city, county, state, any of the municipalities? What's the local support of development? And then finally, what's the time horizon to achieve any stabilized value? So now I've done my operating assets. I've done my land. I've gone through the major holdings in my company on the asset side. Now what I want to do is I want to look at the debt side. So I'm going to match up the debt, and I want to look at my debt and put it down, what's recourse, what's non-recourse, do I have any collateralizations, do I have any guarantees, what's the covenants, interest rates, swaps or hedges, what's the term, the maturities, amortization schedule, every one of those, who the lender is, what's their attitude, can I restructure, can I modify the debt, and now I have a good picture. I know the asset, I know the related debt, I have a sense in terms of my assumptions and sensitivity analysis. Now I'm going to step back and say, before I move forward in my plan, how am I going to manage a restructured company? Look to the next slide. I've put up what's called an organization review. You have to look at your company and say, I'm building this new business plan. Can you develop a new strategy? Can you develop a new organization? And I sit down, I start with the payroll, I do a zero-based analysis. Everything is up. All people, all departments. Cost, position, current role. What's the proposition value for retaining these people? Painful process, but in a recession, you get a one-time opportunity to do a major overhaul and repositioning in your company. You have to step back and ask yourself, is the job needed at all? Can I do it more effectively? Can I outsource it? Can I consolidate it? I know down at the school what we do is a lot of utilization of students. These are smart students. You take our master's students, MBA, Masters in Real Estate Development. They come in, they've got a few years of experience at a very low cost. You can get them. You don't like the young side? Go to my group. Get the seniors. We've got over 50 years of experience. You can pick them up at a part-time basis. You have to analyze what's the cost of the job, How do I reduce it? Maybe I have to go out with some competitive bidding. I've seen developers now out here in California, what they've done is they've shifted their strategy, and they've become a fee builder or a special consultant to other builder developers. Outsourcing, as I said, is a good opportunity. It not only saves payroll costs, but a lot of fringe benefits in health care or other costs. Once I do my people analysis, I rank them. And I look at who's in the top quartile, who's in the lower end, and basically I'm going to be planning on dropping, the bottom end. Then I aggregate them up, and I now look at, okay, here's the number of people I think I need. Here's the best of my group. Do I even need this department? Could I outsource? Can I do something else? Can I consolidate? Now what's the impact on my office and my overall corporate overhead? So I do it by department, and then I do it by project, and then I do it overall corporate. I have to go down every expense line item, line by line. What can I do to reduce the cost? You can imagine what we've saved in utility costs, in insurance, accounting, legal, trash. Every single line item is an opportunity. Property tax appeal. Have I done it? Have I done it right? Is it timely? After you go through that analysis, then you can take a look at your technology. It's one of the great cost savers, and there's a lot of systems, Oracle, SAP, Timberline, that are available for real estate companies that can help you and reduce your overhead a substantial amount. They can help you with a lot of the reports and analysis that I've been talking about. Some of these reports are not just internal, they have to go external. You take a look at this next slide in terms of working with my creditors after I've done my debt analysis. Transparency is critical. It's key to survival during these times. You need to have frequent meetings with your lenders. Meet with them for breakfast. Take a look at this next slide. Meet with them for lunch, especially if you're getting a new loan. No shocks, no surprises. They should know what's taking place. And when they do, then you can come up with a plan and options with respect to modification, reorganization, and restructuring. On this next slide, what I've done for you is I put together some of the lender strategies that are happening in the marketplace. You can see, you can request a simple waiver of a default, a moratorium on interest, defer and accrue. I'm not going to take you through all of them, but you can convert equity, debt, deeds in lieu of foreclosure, work better. Obviously, a bankruptcy or a chapter is possible, but I don't think it's needed. Develop your own plan and your restructure strategy. Now the next question I get is, assuming we're survivors and we have cash accumulated, when I come out of all this, where are the opportunities? So if you take a look at this chart, you're going to find them at the banks. We have a total of 140 banks that have failed already this year. 700 are on the watch list. Those represent opportunities to you. Personal bankruptcies have increased. Chapter 7 filings as opposed to 13 create opportunities for you. Many times I'm asked, how are these assets going to move through the system? Take a look at this and you'll see. Move the assets through, typically negotiation, modification, restructuring loan by loan, or you can restructure the whole company. Plan a reorganization, judicial, which I don't like, or non-judicial, outside the courts. Third parties can buy the loans, from the lenders. We see auctions taking place, receivers, trustees, FDIC. My favorite strategy, buy the entire bank. So opportunities all over the place on the banking side. The banks now own $3 trillion of residential mortgages, enough for everyone on this webinar, $1.5 trillion of corporate real estate, and $1 trillion of consumer loans. Opportunities that I see will start moving into the system by the year end. Don't have time to take you through all the commercial mortgages, but there's a total of $3.1 trillion. The banks have almost 50% of all these mortgages. Now look at the maturities. It's starting to come due. $300 billion matures each year for the next 5 years. We're looking at significant losses. Goldman Sachs has reported they expect a couple of $100 billion over a period of time. So I want to wrap with a couple of special places for you to look for opportunities. Take a look to your states and your cities. We've never seen anything like it. Declines in income, property tax, sales tax. Cities like City of Vallejo filed a chapter. They just don't have the receipts. 92% of the U.S. cities are unable to pay for all their basic services. California, 24 state office buildings went on sale, and they're looking to raise some $2 billion. They plan to sell the Ronald Reagan State Building. They're going to do a lease back. Real opportunities there. Here's one that's complicated. That's a nugget you can think about. Look at tax increment financing. Look at CFDs, community facility districts, tax increment financing, TIFs, special improvement districts, SIDs, and MUDs. I think the opportunities are enormous. ULI has said in their best bets, deal with cash, don't rush, early is the new wrong, and focus on quality and be selective. From my perspective, I believe if you follow the steps we just discussed, you will not only survive, but will emerge stronger, more efficient, effective, and profitable. And I wish all of you good luck, and it was my pleasure joining you this morning.
Thanks, Dan. That was a really terrific presentation and great insights into all the, really making sure you have all your bases covered. Take a real good look at your company all the way through. And I want to thank you for sharing those insights today and on steps to stay in business and to emerge stronger after the downturn finally lifts. For those of you who would like to hear the presentation again, it's available by close of business today, and you can find it along with all the past Solutions Series programs on the NAIOP corporate website. That's at www.naiop.org. On the front page, you'll see a large button that says Solutions Series. If you click on that, it will take you in, and you'll see the programs there. Our next Solutions Series program will be on May 5th. I can tell you that the topic is going to be on medical office development, healthcare development, and we'll have some more details for you. You'll get emails from NAIOP Corporate about information about the program and sign up how to do that. And as I mentioned earlier, if you have a topic that you would like to see us cover, please just jot that down in the comments on the session evaluation survey that you'll receive after the program. If you like, you can send your questions directly to Stan Ross. You see his email ahead. Thank you all for your participation today, and thank you again to Stan for a terrific presentation. Goodbye for now.